Guys, I love Persona 5. I mean, if it isn't obvious by my shirt right here, it wouldn't be clear to you anyways, because I've played every single game in the Persona 5 franchise, you know, the ones with Persona and 5 in the same title. I've watched the anime, I've seen one part of the stage play, I have the soundtrack on repeat for everything that I do with my life. It's just great, it's peak, it's fun, and I've thought about reading the manga, but I'm just not a nerd. And Persona 5 Tactica was coming out in November, and I was hyped. I was so stoked. I was ready to rumble with this, but it's now January when I'm recording this. I got to it a little bit late to where Persona 3 Reload is about to come out, and it's still a trending topic, right? Right? Tactica's still a trending topic, right, Jack Frost? Oh. And I was a little mixed going into Tactica. I wasn't sure if I'd like it. I normally don't go for tactical RPGs, but it's Persona, and I'm the Persona guy, so you know I was going to watch it. But hey, let's just jump into the plot. And the game starts out with a shadowy figure of a Diet member, but we don't care about that. We only want the Phantom Thieves. The Phantom Thieves are my whole identity. Joker is me, you can't stop it. And the Phantom Thieves at this time were just chilling. It's a few weeks before Makoto and Haru graduate, and they're having a good time. They hear about a missing Diet member on the news, but they take no mind to it, because why would they? It's not important to them. They gotta chill before they graduate, make some good vibes with the fam. But then all of a sudden, the TV starts to whack out, you know, a Persona 4 type beat, and it's weird. Time stops, it's dead quiet, and everyone's confused. As you would be. I mean, I would personally. If time just stopped out of nowhere, I'd be very lost. And they see this door with this gear shape on it, and they go through it obviously as you would. I mean, there's no other way out of LeBlanc, so maybe the whole world's fine and we're just freaking out, but they go through the door and they enter this brightly colored world. And it's concerning because they're in their Phantom Thieves attire, and they don't do that in the real world, no. And while they're there, there's these creatures called Legionnaires that are unlike anything that the Phantom Thieves have seen so far. And the Legionnaires see them as a threat, so they attack in a tactical way, and they surround them. And the Phantom Thieves had nowhere left to run. And because of this, they start to get approached by this dictator named Mari, who just wants to make everyone do her bidding to make the most banger wedding ever. Which, honestly, sometimes you just gotta respect the hustle. And the Phantom Thieves are just confused. They're like, oh, I guess this is the baddie we gotta fight. So they attempt to fight, but Mari captures all the Phantom Thieves, except Joker because, you know, protagonist, and Morgana because cat. And while Joker and Morgana were able to escape, everything was going wrong. They couldn't put up a fight. They got captured by Marie, being dragged on the ground, being injured, and not in a cool injured way where you'd get a cast and everyone would sign it. No, in the bad injured where they could have died. And everything was desperate until this random girl named Irina comes in to ambush Marie. And she sees Joker and Morgana in distress, and she decides to help because that's the right thing to do. And she helps them escape the clutches of Marie. And Irina's like, who are you? And Joker's like, who are you? And they start having a stumble, and so they're like, whatever, I'll just take you to the hideout so we can discuss this so we both don't get captured. And Joker's like, cool. And they end up going to the secret hideout, which is just LeBlanc. It's just the same LeBlanc, just in the middle of this colorful town. And it shocks Joker and Morgana and me because I'm like, that's kind of strange. Why is that here? And then Irina then explains that she's part of the Rebel Corps. They're trying to take down Marie's oppressive rule. And Joker and Morgana, you know, they are like, that's kind of sick. We're gonna agree to help you if you help me rescue the Phantom Thieves. And Irina's like, yeah, because we can't have Marie kidnapping people. That's no good. So they join forces to make an unstoppable bond to defeat the evil Marie. Lavenza then wants him to go to the Velvet Room. So he goes in, and it has this whole steampunky vibe to it. And I kind of fuck with it, but it's not what we're used to for Joker. I mean, Joker had the prison aesthetic in Persona 5 and Strikers, so this is new. And Lavenza doesn't know why either, but she theorized that it has to do something with their fate and what they have to do with this time around, but whatever, just typical Persona stuff. And we also learn about personas and weapon fusing, but I'll talk more about that whenever I get to the combat section of this video. And so, they start to plan how they're gonna rescue the Phantom Thieves, and the Rebel Corps have some information about where they might be. They could be prisoners in Marie's castle, and the Phantom Thieves like the sound of that. I mean, it's the only option they have, and so they're gonna head to the prison ward. And they do, they start climbing through it, and while they explore it, they see this guy named Toshiro. Oh my gosh, is that the missing Diet member? Oh my gosh, that's kind of crazy. And so they talk to Toshiro because no normal person would be in a situation like this. And Toshiro doesn't know why he's here or how he got here. All he knows is that he wants to leave, which honestly, fair. And Toshiro is scared of all these figures guarding him, with one of them being dressed in a cat-like latex outfit. I wonder who that could be. So they free him because they have such pure hearts, but then are immediately stopped by a mind control Ann and Futaba. And Morgana's like, oh, it's Lady Ann, I gotta rescue my love interest. So they battle to snap them out of this state, but nothing is seeming to work, no matter what they do. On the ropes, Arena summons this flag thingy and puts it in a watchtower or something like that. I don't know castle terminology, I'm not from Europe. And this frees Ann and Futaba. And Ann and Futaba are still confused and tired about everything. And Toshiro is still shitting his pants because he's like, oh my gosh, this is the people that are gonna torture me. Oh my, ah! And even though it's a little chaotic, they all decide to retreat to LeBlanc so they can give Ann and Futaba the time to rest and time to suss out Toshiro. They're like, hey, are you good? And he's like, yeah, I'm good, I'm just a normal guy. And then they're like, okay, and they decide to trust him for now, though. And after they finish interrogating Toshiro, Ann and Futaba were pretty much fully recovered, and they discuss about a way that they could get out because they saw a door like the one that they entered in LeBlanc the first time in the castle. So that's pretty sick. But then out of nowhere, they then get a report from the Rebel Corps that a loud, rowdy blonde boy and a terrifying axe-wielding woman are around in Marie's armory. And obviously, it's Ryuji and Haru. It's Skull and Noir. And, you know, we gotta save them. And Toshiro wanted to tag along to find out more about this world as a reasonable person might want to do. But they're concerned that he can't fight because he's gonna die. Or worse, bitch all the time. And after planning the tactics, they were going to rescue Ryuji and Haru, and they infiltrate the armory. Arena did her flag magic, and Ryuji and Haru were saved. Just like that, because they're that good as a team. And they decide to go back to LeBlanc to, regroup and decide how are they going to rescue Yusuke and Makoto. And the Rebel Corps gives some intel that Marie is going to be holding a wedding with a groom being a handsome man with dark hair and piercing eyes. And that can only mean one thing. That's Yusuke, obviously. And so they go there instantly to try to rescue him. And they arrive to the town square and see this giant cake with tons of Rebel Corps members in the wedding cake. I mean, why would they do that? That's just disturbing. I don't think they have a good flavor with them. And that's kind of sad. And Yusuke and Makoto arrive at the scene, ready to beat the shit out of the Phantom Thieves. But we gotta confront Yusuke, like, dude, what are you doing? Like you're better than this. You're better than Marie. You can do so much better than her. You're just better than her. And just better is better. And Yusuke's like, ew, I'm too gross to marry Marie. Toshiro is the one who's going to get married. Huh? But they battle to save them, and Arena does her flag magic, but...
This ends now!
Huh?
Huh?
She got shot! No! And Toshiro goes to comfort her because that's all he can do. And she's like, finish the job. And Toshiro was able to grab the flag somehow and does the magic just like how Arena was. That's kind of strange, but Yusuke and Makoto were freed, and they were all ready to make their escape. And Lady Marie shows up pissed, as you would. I mean, she's planning a banger wedding. Why wouldn't she be pissed that it got basically ruined? But the Rebel Corps fight back. They go attacking Marie and her forces to try to give the Phantom Thieves, Arena, and Toshiro a way to escape and recover. And they do, and they fully recover, including Toshiro, who's being a little baby getting bandaged after he got shot being a Giga Chad. And then rightfully they question Toshiro about why Lady Marie wants to marry him. He seems even more sus than he is. And Toshiro still doesn't know why, but he feels a faint connection with her. But they're just like, whatever, Toshiro, we're just gonna deal with you, and we're just gonna conspire about how to take down Lady Marie. And they also hear, oh, wait, they're still prisoners under Lady Marie's control? We're gonna go rescue them. And they do, so they can have the most amount of forces for their final bit, the final clash against Marie. And then they start to head to Lady Marie's castle for the final time, and they start to storm it in an epic anime cutscene. It was so hype whenever I first watched it. I was like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. This is what Persona's all about. And the Phantom Thieves storm into the castle, and they realize, oh, this is a sick wedding venue. She kind of did her prep work. And I was also thinking, this is great. I love to be married here. Let me marry An and Makoto and Futaba and Ryuji and Yusuke just at this venue. I'd be super filled with that polyamorous relationship. And as they keep going through the venue, they arrive at this projection room, which is very odd for a wedding. I have never been to a wedding that had that. Granted, I've only been to 2, but they didn't have a projector. That's weird. And it starts to play on his own, which is even weirder, and it shows this woman scolding Toshiro on the screen. And we learn that her name is Marie Anto, and that she is a rich bitch that is wanting to use Toshiro's political power so that she can feel more rich and more powerful than she already is. So because of this, she's gonna marry Toshiro. Boom! Yeah, we figured it out. Marie is just probably a shadow, and Toshiro probably got dragged in here. We've solved the mystery. And as they keep going through the venue, they just start to see more and more of how Marie sees Toshiro. They see this picture of Marie with a faceless Toshiro, showing that, he's nothing more than an object that she can replace at any time. And they also see a pathetic teddy bear that is dressed up like Toshiro, showing that he is nothing more than a puppet that Marie can control. And obviously, Toshiro gets a little upset about these, and Toshiro's like, I'm gonna stand up to Marie. This is not cool. She shouldn't be treating me like this. And so when I get back to the real world, she's gonna get it. And after some more climbing through the castle, they reach the top, where Lady Marie resides. And they get ready for the final battle, and the boys are ready to take her down. They fight, and they struggle, and then Toshiro jumps on top of this huge-ass bell, and he throws it on her head, and she is defeated, just like that. But before they could celebrate, though, she tells Toshiro they will still have to atone for his crimes, leading us to ask, Toshiro, what'd you do? But the members of the Rebel Corps storm the castle, congratulating all the Phantom Thieves, and they're all celebrating, making sure that we avoid the actual question at hand. And they saved the world. They can all go home feeling more accomplished. This was a very short game, and was it worth the money? I don't know. But they enter through the door to take them home, and they end up in this world that looks like a mix of older Japan, Ghost of Tsushima type B, and a 1984 surveillance society. Bruh! And Arena is there. I mean, the last world was her home world. She's gonna be stranded here just because she wanted to go see them off, go see the Phantom Thieves. Bye. No. Oh boy, this is a predicament if I've ever seen one. And they see this huge ass screen that is in the epicenter of the city, and it's broadcasting a news story about this Buddha-like ruler of the land named Lord Yoshiki, who spreads his love across the nation. It just adds more and more confusion to the situation. And they decide to press on, though. We're gonna get more information about what's going on. And all of a sudden, there's this commotion going on with this woman in a kimono, with a legionnaire for some reason. Because of this, the Phantom Thieves are going to butt in to help her. But Toshiro is going to try to resolve the conflict diplomatically like a politician. But doing this reveals that he is a wanted criminal in this world, wanting to rebel against the rule of Lord Yoshiki. And what is happening now? And because of the hostile nature of the Legionnaires, they all have to fight their way through them until the lady in the kimono tells them that she knows a way that they can escape and retreat to another LeBlanc. Why? The Phantom Thieves think that this may have to do something with their own cognition, but Toshiro finds his place familiar for some reason. But in my head as a player, I'm like, bro, LeBlanc's becoming a chain? I hope it overtakes Starbucks. And once they're inside, the lady in the kimono introduces herself as Yuki, and the boys tell them their situation, and Yuki is very understanding and accepting of the situation. However, she's concerned for Toshiro because, you know, a criminal, obviously, but she trusts him. And because of this, she gives him a disguise to help him get around in the city. And I see no problems with it whatsoever. I think it is beautiful. She then tells us about the oppressive rule that Lord Yoshiki has had against his country, how anyone who gets caught going against his wishes would be arrested, how he tears apart families, and how he's just a bad dude that sends people to labor camps if he deems that they deserve it, which is... that's cruel, man! And they asked Toshiro if he rings any bells like how Marie did, but he could not recall anything at the moment. However, Arena is confused about why people aren't rebelling like people in her homeworld, and that's because they have their faith in Lord Yoshiki. They don't see anything wrong with what he's doing, and they see him, in fact, as a figure that could do no wrong, and that he shares his love with everyone in the country. You smell that? It smells like baloney. Yuki also tells them that she did escape the clutches of Yoshiki because she didn't agree with his practices as any sane person would. And because of all these circumstances that is going on, they decide to end Yoshiki's rule once and for all. And they also think that where Yoshiki resides could be where a door is to help them go back home, just like in Maria's castle. So it's a win-win all around for everyone involved. And with this new partnership between allies, Yuki tells them that she has a plan. However, there's too much security around town, so they gotta take down the town security. They decided that Futaba will hack into the systems, but they kind of made a statement in the town earlier when they attacked several Legionnaires, so they'd have to be inconspicuous. And Yuki decides to blend in with the crowd of people in the town. They'd be fitted into some beautiful kimonos. However, on the way, they see this woman about to be beaten up by some Legionnaires, and you know what they do. They do some tactics to stop them, as you would. And after they finish the job, they find out that the woman was the owner of the silk shop that they were going to.
Coincidence? I think not!
So they get fitted in some of the most fire kimonos and some of the most fiercest Japanese warrior outfits. I don't know what they are necessarily called. It's kind of more so what shoguns wear. And they're just ready for the infiltration, and they just look like a bunch of baddies, man. Toshiro is also looking fire. His disguise got an upgrade, some would say. And now it's time to get serious about the infiltration. They'd be into two teams. Joker, Ryuji, Yosuke, An, Makoto, Haru, and Arena will break into the base camp, while Morgana, Futaba, Toshiro, and Yuki would hack and take down the cameras. Get in, let Futaba do her hacker magic, free the hostages in one of the main prison camps, and get out so they could storm the castle. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, gonna get some diabetes. I'm going to die by the age of 30. My mom said so. This is no joke. She said this to my face and I cried for an hour. And everything was going well. The plan was doing a top-notch thing until they saw a kerfuffle. Some Legionnaires were berating this one citizen for making a simple mistake, and it was really getting on everyone's nerves. And Makoto decided to give them the fist of justice, and they took them down while making their escape. And everything went well on both ends. Futaba was even able to make this broadcast of what Lord Yoshiki does to his citizens to help the town come to the realization of all the horrible acts that he does to his citizens. Everything was going well. Almost too well. Then, out of nowhere, Lord Yoshiki comes out and drops this bombshell.
After all, thanks to this, I was finally able to find who I'm looking for.
Found someone? Who are you talking about?
Who is it, you ask? Oh, that would be Toshiro! Who the hell else could it possibly be? Damn ungrateful, good-for-nothing son of mine!
Yeah, I bet you didn't see that coming. And everyone was ready to take down Lord Yoshiki, but he had to go do a haiku show. He had to maintain a schedule, which honestly, you have to respect. Honestly, I wish that I could do that. I tried to maintain like daily uploads for like a bit, for like a month, and that was awful. And now I just post whenever I make something. Like, bruh. I'm so jealous, man. So they managed to head back to LeBlanc to reflect on, what just happened? They then learned that Lord Yoshiki is actually Yoshiki Kasukabe, a Diet member in real life. He has had a long-standing career with some people calling him Buddha Kasukabe because of his temperament on the surface, which is why he's a Buddha in this world. In reality, he's very obsessed with political power, which is why he's pushing Toshiro to become the prime minister. He raised Toshiro so strictly ever since he was a child and would beat him when he did not comply. Just a bad guy overall. And because of all the political turmoil that happened after Shido fell from political power because of the Phantom Thieves with a change of heart, with rivers in the desert in the background, Yoshiki did several instances of extortion, blackmail, and bribery so Toshiro could be prime minister, so he could be behind the shadows, working all of his magic and so he could have all of his glory, man. And Toshiro knew all of this and wanted to expose his crimes, but he couldn't because he was too afraid to. And because Yoshiki acts like the way that Toshiro believes him to act, the Phantom Thieves realize that this world was not made from Yoshiki, or the last one was made from Maria, but they come to the conclusion that this world was made from his cognition, making them realize what the connection between these kingdoms are. Oh, by the way, these worlds are called kingdoms. They established that. It's just like a name like palaces are. It's very, it just do be like that. And Toshiro agrees with this theory because he was the only one who knew the password to open the door to free the citizens. Because it's connected, he made the conclusion that it's connected to how he's gonna expose his father for his crimes. I don't know. Futaba wasn't able to do anything with it, and he was able to do it first try. That's kind of weird. And also, LeBlanc is just super familiar to him. He went to LeBlanc to avoid the media while he was running for prime minister to relax. He'd go as a safe place. Kind of like how LeBlanc is a hideout, they can all escape it. Oh my gosh, all the dots are connecting. I'm like Charlie Day up in this bitch. Man, this is crazy. Because of all this information we learned, Toshio wants to take down his father in both his mind and in the real world. And the Phantom Thieves are cool with helping with that. And Yuki also wants to help, but there's still so many citizens that she wants to save, and the Phantom Thieves can't say no to a cry for help like that. And Toshiro thinks that we could use a bit more manpower in the operation, so he asked Yuki if she could convince some of the townsfolk if they could help if they were freed. However, that's more of a challenge than it was in the previous kingdom because they're very content with their way of life. They don't want to make things worse than they actually are. However, Toshiro gives powerful speeches because he's a politician. That's just what they do. And I'm just going to play this speech for you because I actually think it is a very powerful speech to hear.
I understand very well how you all feel. For a long time, I was more of a coward than anyone. I was always looking for an excuse not to fight. In fact, the fear is still there. And if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I'd much rather prefer not to fight.
That's exactly how we feel. We just want to keep things as they are.
But then, I decided to take a stand. Because no matter how badly I want to run from my fear, I don't want to lie to myself anymore.
Oshiro.
I'm not telling you to be strong. There may not even be a need for you to fight beyond your means. But at the very least, why not make an attempt to stop lying to yourselves? And after, if you still feel a desire to change the present, you're ready to do so alongside you.
This speech helped convince some of the people to take a stand, making a pseudo rebel type beat, and they go around to free people, and they make their army more and more powerful to take down Lord Yoshiki. Meanwhile, Irina's a little bit upset. Her words didn't get through to people in this world, which was a struggle for her. It made her a bit self-conscious, which I can relate, man. Some people don't want to listen to my stupid thoughts about YouTubes. But Irina does get some support from the citizens, and they think that she's pretty cool. And I can agree, and so she feels better. And you know what would make me feel better? If you like, comment, and subscribe, and gave me the support that they just gave Irina. Yeah, I'm putting a plug. If you're this far in, you probably like the video, so do that. Okay. Back to the video. She also is a little confused about who she is, but doesn't let it get to her too much. However, after they rested up, they were finally ready for the infiltration to storm the castle. Toshiro and Yuki already prepared a distraction so they could make it into the castle. And Yuki is going to help guide them through the secret passages of the castle. Everything and everyone is ready. When the plan goes off without a hitch, the whole town is disguised as the Phantom Thieves to distract the Legionnaires to get the boys to the castle, and they are terrifying. Yusuke designed them, which makes sense of why they're so terrifying, but still, I had nightmares about this. And they were able to get to the castle while Yuki and Toshiro are throwing down some chemistry. Kind of spicy. So Yuki and Toshiro start searching right away for the passage to Lord Yoshiki, while the Phantom Thieves start to just beat the shit out of some Legionnaires in the castle. However, while the two explore the castle, they end up stumbling upon this mysterious door, taking them to this amusement park with a strange voice, which is making Toshiro go into a state of panic. But the Phantom Thieves hear this, and they go to check out the situation. And they get surrounded by Legionnaires that were screaming at Toshiro, and the Phantom Thieves beat them up as you do, and when you're a Phantom Thief, and they get Toshiro to calm down. What caused this meltdown, we don't know yet, but maybe something to do with that carnival, we don't know. Regardless, they were able to progress out of there, and they started to hear this strange sound, which happened to be this big labor of love, which was Lord Yoshiki's main labor camp that powers the whole town, and it is disgusting. And I was not alone with that. The Phantom Thieves thought that it was pretty disgusting, and they seized it for themselves to free the citizens when they recognize Lady Yuki and are surprised that she came back for them. What? Yuki has a connection to Yoshiki? Something is not adding up here. This was because she was in a formal relationship with Lord Yoshiki, revealing that Yuki was Toshiro's mom, Yuki Kasakabe. Oh no, flashback! She was in the hospital so much when he was younger that it was one of the only places he could ever see her. And these visits were the only thing keeping him going. Over time though, Yoshiki restricted how much Toshiro saw her due to Yuki's illness getting worse and worse. However, Toshiro was not fazed by this. He hatched a plan. He would sneak her out of the hospital and take her to an amusement park to have a good time with her. And it worked. She was smiling the whole time. But on the way home, she collapsed, passing out, and not long after, she died. And his father blamed him for his death, and those thoughts ring through his head for years. But the Phantom Thieves told him that he shouldn't blame himself for the death, especially Futaba, because, you know, they have a similar story, and she is like, bro, stop! And it's a strong moment that helps bond Toshiro closer to the Phantom Thieves. And this gives Toshiro the final push that he needed to take on Yoshiki. They then finally confront Yoshiki, who is very upset that his country is in shambles, but it's kind of deserved. You know, I don't know, labor camps are one of the big no-nos that you shouldn't do as a leader of a country. I'm no Mr. President, but at least I knew that. The two parties couldn't see eye to eye, so the Phantom Thieves get ready to take down Yoshiki. And on God, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant. This battle was so annoying because you had to also take into account these cameras that were placed around because of this surveillance. And anytime that you walked into it, you die. And it's so annoying, and it just took forever to do because there were so many enemies killing me. It took me so long. This was probably the boss that took me the longest. It hurt my brain, and I hated it. But back to the plot, the Phantom Thieves were just in a struggle itself, and Yoshiki was about to take them down until Yuki came into Lord Yoshiki's lair with the citizens of the country. They started to attack the annoying cameras, which I hate so much. Thank you, Yuki. We could finally actually kill him now. Thank you. And they were able to take down Lord Yoshiki, but the transition did not go as smoothly as they hoped because there was so much bloodshed in the streets, meaning the Phantom Thieves questioned the consequences for their actions.
What will you learn? What will you learn? That your actions have consequences!
But this was just another way for Yoshiki to try to get into the Phantom Thieves and Toshiro's heads. And it was working, freezing them in place, giving Yoshiki the perfect opportunity to go for the kill and... Wait. What a Giga Chad move by Yuki. I don't care if I use this bit too much, but she took the bullet for her son. If that's not Giga Chad, I don't know what is. After this, Yoshiki fades away just like Marie did, ending his rule, but at what cost? But this wasn't all on somber notes. In Yuki's final breaths, she helped Toshiro remember how his mom truly remembered the day that he took her to the amusement park. How she was so excited and was full of life because of him, and she told him to never be afraid of doing what he thinks is right. So he takes this in stride and accepts it as she moves on to the next life, or whatever happens in the cognitive world. I don't know if they have religion there. And this gave Totoro the confidence to be able to move on and do what he thinks is right from now on. And the Phantom Thieves claimed victory against Lord Yoshiki. The citizens of the town rushed in to congratulate them on their hard work and thank them for giving them a free life once again. And once the celebration was wrapped up, they headed through another door once again, leading them to a school where there is nothing. They were still in their Phantom Thieves attire, so they came to the conclusion that this place also has a ruler of some kind. They just had to find out who it was. So they went inside and they returned to their normal attire, different from what they have encountered beforehand, and they explored, but the hall seemed normal. Until they stumbled upon this door, which led them to another world within this world, and they were bombarded by these loudspeakers throwing some pretty nasty insults and legionnaires, which they defeat flawlessly as we come to expect. It did a number of the party though, tiring them out, and they head back to the labyrinth that is that school. And then they get approached by these folks in school uniforms called the Rebel Club, who want to take out this ruler. And because they were on the same page, the Phantom Thieves decide to join their club, which is obviously LeBlanc. I mean, you shouldn't be surprised at this point. And they were ready to take down this iron dictator named... I wonder why it was censored. However, they do know where the leader's location is, but they need 4 keys to open the door. So the Rebel Club entrusts the Phantom Thieves with getting these keys, and the first key they need is in the courtyard, so that's where they go. And they find the door in the courtyard, they head inside and get the key, which is just a band-aid for some reason, it makes no sense. And then there's this glow of light, it brings them to the past where Toshiro was in high school. Wait, what? It is a memory, and we see Toshiro when he was class president at the time, talking to this girl who looks very similar to Arena. She tells him that she was very impressed with the way that Toshiro stood up to some delinquent students that were breaking the rules and how he stopped them from bullying the other student. She then tells him that her name is Eri Natsuhara and that she will be visiting him in the student council room more frequently. Then she hands him a bandage. This made the Phantom Thieves more curious, and they wanted more context for this memory. They thought it was like a cool soap opera. It was pretty crazy. And so Toshiro told him that she joined the council pretty soon after they first met, and that she was some kind of girl that couldn't stand any mistreatment or injustice. They did everything together to bring some kind of justice to the school, and they were happy with it. That's all he could remember, though, and he wanted to find out more, especially what is this connection between Eri and Arena? Like, bruh! Nevertheless, they continue to carry on to the cafeteria, where the second key was located. While journeying there, we hear this person on the loudspeaker who is... Again? Really? And he is just taunting them about being rude and shit, and he's just a butthole, man. But they do make it to the cafeteria, and while Yusuke scrambles for some scrap of food, they defeat the Legionnaires and find the Student Council suggestion box, the second key. They touch it and it takes us back to Toshiro's memory. Toshiro and Eri are just chatting about entrance exams and how the Student Council suggestion box has been empty recently. Then all of a sudden, a student named Yuri Kurano comes into the student council room to discuss how the vice principal of the school, Ichiro Nakabachi, has been blackmailing students and staff to do his own bidding to where he is now up at the top of the school where he is today. And this makes sense to Toshiro because he was just a music teacher that got hired pretty recently. Eri and Toshiro get fired up from this and choose to start a rebellion against Nakabachi. Because of this memory, they come to the conclusion that Nakabachi is the ruler of this domain, and the Phantom Thieves are so down to stopping him due to their past with tons of horrible teachers. And so, they were on their way to receive the third key located in the faculty room. On their way, though, they seem to ponder why all the Legionnaires seem to represent more student-like qualities than ones of staff members, but they can't figure out a reason to why this is. But it's whatever because they make it to the faculty room, stop the Legionnaires, and find the third key, a letter of challenge. They touch it to head back to the memory of Toshiro to find Toshiro and Eri confronting Nakabachi in the music room, but Nakabachi keeps deflecting any sense of the interrogation and threatens Toshiro's future and family if he tries to do anything. Nakabachi then leaves, and this sentiment makes Eri furious. She has to do something about it. This was because at her old school, Eri was framed for theft, leading it to all of her friends leaving her and just being all alone. One of the teachers noticed this change in behavior and told her to fight back if her gut felt something was wrong. And this ended up clearing her name, but there's so much drama that she had to change schools, and that's why she fights for what she thinks is right and why she's at this school now. This makes Toshiro want to fight even harder to make Nakabachi pay for what he did. The spirit that Eri has drives him, as well as the thought of proving Nakabachi guilty for his crimes. From this display of memories, Erina feels even more closely related to Eri because of the strong feeling that they both have for justice, but they just want to keep moving on so they can just finish the job. So they went to find the fourth key on the roof. And right before they could enter, though, the voice on the loudspeaker, presumed to be Nakabachi, tries to taunt our heroes, but it doesn't work because they're such girl bosses, and they enter that door, they beat up some Legionnaires, and they find the last key, a voice recorder. They touch it and enter Toshiro's memories once again. Toshiro and Eri were on top of the roof to confront Nakabachi for the final time for all of his crimes, although he keeps threatening the two, not wanting to give up his position and still thinking that he can get away with this behavior. However, Toshiro and Eri got every student that Nakabachi used to stand against him. But he still states that he'll do whatever it takes to ruin Toshiro and Eri's lives. But Toshiro, being the smart fellow he is, recorded the entire conversation, including his confession. He just Queen Gambited his ass. They return back from Toshiro's memory, and the Phantom Thieves are so proud that he stood up for himself and caused a change in his community. Although they get a little skeptical if Nakabachi is really the ruler of this place.
I'm sensing an incoming plot twist.
But whatever the case is, they took all four keys, which just turned into the key to the music room when all four pieces were reunited, like when Exodia did, and they started to head to the hideout to reconvene there to prep for the final battle of the kingdom. However, whenever they get back, Lavenza summons Joker back to the Velvet Room, where she feels something of an ill omen. She learned that the alterations to the Velvet Room had been caused by some kind of outside force, and that it might had suddenly surged. You just believe this to be some kind of malice thing. Is the one behind it. Lavenza wants to make sure that Joker takes precautions with this new information that he stumbles across. But it doesn't matter because the Phantom Thieves are getting ready to take Nakabachi on in the music room, and all goes well in the battle against him. But Nakabachi reminded Toshiro about the crime that he committed that has been alluded to in this entire game. Once this is brought up, the whole school begins to crumble, turning into a clock tower. Irina also falls to her knees, clenching to her head as if she was in pain. As the clock strikes midnight, Irina turns into this beam of light and... We're back into the memory of Toshiro right after Nakabachi fell from grace. Everyone in the school was against him, no one was on his side, and a lynch mob was forming against this man. This caused him to be a shut-in, only leaving his house for court appearances. Toshiro and Eri are at a train station discussing the situation and how they are a little bit mixed on the situation. Eri still looks on the bright side, and Toshiro tries to as well. They're gonna get past this. They decide that. But all of a sudden, Nakabachi appears, clearly a broken man from these two, and starts to approach Toshiro, And out of revenge, Nakabachi pushes Eri in front of the train. This was kind of fucked up, and honestly, not gonna lie, I did not expect anything like this to appear in the game. This was such a huge twist, and I was like, holy shit. And we return back to the kingdom, and the person on the loudspeaker returns, taunting our protagonist once again. And this starts to make Toshiro start to break down even more. The Phantom Thieves also realize that Arena is nowhere to be seen, and because of this, they come to the conclusion that the mysterious voice in the loudspeaker was the one who kidnapped her, and they are dead set on finding her. But before they could do that, the members of the Rebel Club start to berate Toshiro, saying that he was the one that brought them to ruin, and that he will pay for his crimes. And they turn into legionnaires, starting to attack the Phantom Thieves. And while this battle is heating up, Toshiro continues to break down, returning to his memory. Toshiro was in a hospital meeting up with Eri, who was covered up in bandages and is a former shell of herself. Eri asks how things are at school, and Toshiro states that Nakabachi and all the students that drove him to snapping were charged for their crimes. Hearing this, Eri realizes that Toshiro is the only one that the students are going to vent to. And this makes Eri break down, losing her carefree attitude and her will to fight because she doesn't want Toshiro to be in pain. However, this memory felt off. But nevertheless, we return back to reality, and with Toshiro remembering everything, he snapped and turned into a depressed husk of a man that he had become over the course of this game. However, with the help of a slap in the face from Futaba, the Phantom Thieves convince Toshiro to at least head back to the hideout for now, and they help reassure Toshiro even further. And with Toshiro back in his right state of mind, he comes to the conclusion that there was only one place in his past that they've not approached yet in the school: the student council room. So they go, and they enter it, where they see Arena weak, so weak and beaten up in a chair right for the rescuing. And the person on the loudspeaker comes back to taunt them for one final time. But the Phantom Thieves and Toshiro are just tired of this shit. They want him to stop taunting them, and they just ask, "Who the hell are you?" Suddenly, Toshiro's shadow walks up from the shadows to confront Toshiro himself, telling him that he never cared about Eri or Arena at all. Toshiro obviously disagrees with this, and this causes the shadow to transport the crew to the top of the clock tower, holding Arena off of the edge to remove her will of justice out of Toshiro's cognition. The Phantom Thieves try to stop him, but they instantly get caught in some bandages that Arena was also being tied up with. All hope was lost. There was no way that they could win against Toshiro's shadow now. But then Joker, being a Giga Chad that he is, throws Toshiro his iconic dagger, showing Toshiro that he is the only person that can do this now. Arena also cries out to Toshiro, telling him,
Remember how it actually ended. What we did wasn't a mistake.
We go back to the hospital room at the same point where Eri says that she cannot fight anymore. However, she tells him that she would not regret anything of what they've done. She tells him that the first whistleblower, Yuri Kurano, came by to visit, saying that she was grateful. Her exact words being, "Thank you so much. Seriously." From this, she wants Toshiro to see how they feel, how they did what was the right thing to do, and that Toshiro is going to change the world. We return back to the battlefield where Arena gives him another pep talk.
The hope she placed in you, it's still right here. So please, please, stand up, Toshiro! Stand up!
This gives Toshiro the strength to press on, to be able to attack his other self. And was able to save Arena.
Toshiro! Your hand! Let go!
I got you! Don't you remember? When push comes to shove, I take care of business!
in one of the most epic ways imaginable. Shadow Toshiro is obviously not very happy about this, like any bad guy would be, but Toshiro doesn't take any of this lying down. Because of this confrontation, Arena starts to float in the sky, get covered with flames, and turns into Toshiro's persona, Ernesto. And this was one of the most hyped parts of the game. I knew somehow Toshiro had a persona and it was gonna be sick whenever the reveal happened, just like what it did with Zenkichi, and it was sick. Toshiro and Ernesto free the other Phantom Thieves and they start to engage with a battle with Shadow Toshiro. They take him down, but he doesn't give up. Shadow Toshiro does a dirty move and he turns into another form, a haunting version of Eri Natsuhara. But this doesn't faze Toshiro, making him more and more angry about the methods that he used to try to take down Toshiro. And with no struggles whatsoever, they take down this monster form of Eri and defeat Shadow Toshiro. And the tides start to settle and Arena comes back to the form that we're used to. She also remembers what she truly is, a manifestation of Toshiro's heart that was manifested to protect it if something more powerful than Marie or even his shadow. An earthquake out of nowhere then strikes, and a god named Samael, who claims to be protecting humanity by eradicating all wills of reform, the true root of all conflict, comes down out of the sky. However, Samael doesn't want to fight. He just wants to eradicate all the memories our boys had on this journey so Toshiro can forget about his persona. The Phantom Thieves obviously deny this offer, which thank God they do, because I would have been so mad if this game just did not matter, like Persona 5 Dancing. That was my biggest complaint about that, but they don't do that. So Samael leaves to make them meet him for the final battle in another place to confront him. But how will they get there? Suddenly, a blue train flies from the sky heading straight for the thieves, showing that Lavenza was the conductor, which means the train is the Velvet Room? Why? I don't know, something about cognition, just go with it because it's kind of cool. So with this Deus Ex Machina, they get on the train because it's a vibe, and so they could be able to take down a stupid god once more. And once they arrive, they keep pushing on, going through Samael's domain, re-encountering each boss they fought just because, boss rush, am I right? And they eventually reach his grasp. Everyone is ready to end this twisted god's ideology and stop him once and for all. Samael gives him one last chance to give up, but you know how our boys are, their will is strong, so they engage in a super epic final battle with also a sick, epic CGI cutscene that had the title song, Revolution in Our Heart, but the instrumental version playing on in the background, and it made me go scream until he was defeated. And they won! They're allowed to go back home, so they get back on the Velvet train so that Arena can return back to her own world and they could say goodbye before it turns back into the state that it was before. Which means that she'll go away, and they gave one last heartfelt goodbye to Arena, so she knows that she'll be missed. And Toshiro breaks out like a little baby bitch boy because he has to leave her, but he accepts that she will always be with him, and that he will always be with her. And then Arena fades into a beacon of light. And the Phantom Thieves return to LeBlanc and are finally safe in the real world. Toshiro is nowhere to be seen though, so they start to worry, but they figure that he'll be fine because he found some kind of new conviction. We then cut back to the Diet Building, where he is back with Marie and his father Yoshiki in the real world. They scold him about how he has to make an apology to the public because he just left out of nowhere because he's a little stinker, which he agrees to, but not for what they think. During the broadcast, he told the public about every crime that his father and Marie committed to assist him to try to become Prime Minister. While the press conference is good for Toshiro, it makes the Phantom Thieves start to worry about him. I mean, is he gonna be alright? Is he gonna be able to do politics anymore? Is he cool? Then the LeBlanc telephone starts to ring, and the other person on the line is Toshiro. And he tells him that, hey, everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna do things my way. And he thanks the Phantom Thieves for all he did. And he promises to visit LeBlanc for that familiar coffee that he so loves. And everyone is satisfied, the credits roll, and the game ends with one final scene of Toshiro finally reuniting with Eri after so many years of no communication. The end. So, that was very long, and the plot, I liked it. I liked going through Toshiro's life. It was very interesting. It was so cool to see this whole story be connected only through one person instead of, like, multiple palace people or multiple, like, people on the Midnight Channel, like in Persona 4. It was nice to see just a consistent person and his whole life it was great. I also really liked the connections with the Phantom Thieves, because in the game there are these short, like, little dialogue optional things that you can do to get more GP, which I'll talk about GP in a second. But they're really nice. I love the interactions with the Phantom Thieves. I love these characters, and a lot of people didn't like it. They thought that it's just filler. We already know these characters, but I'm a big simp. Like, you literally see it. You're seeing my shirt right now. I'm the simp that likes these, okay? And also, the interactions with Eri and Toshiro here are awesome. I love it. It's so cool. But one of the big draws for this game was the combat, and I don't like tactical RPGs, I'm gonna be real. I think that it's stupid how you're only able to move like a few amount of squares depending on what your movement is, and that there's like nothing that you can do. Even if you're not in cover in this game, you can still get knocked out of cover and then get knocked out, and then your whole party gets wiped out for no reason, even though you're playing the game absolutely right and you're level 99, but you're still getting fucking wiped out for some reason. This is so stupid. And there's also no exploration of the worlds itself, which I think that is a huge downfall. I know that it's not a huge game like Persona 5, but even Persona 5 Strikers had a little bit of exploration, and Dancing also had exploration with going into the rooms of each party member. It was just so devastating because it felt very stiff with the gameplay. You're just cutscene, tactical RPG, cutscene, tactical movement, cutscene, oh, guess what? Another tactical movement. Oh, 2 tactical movements in a row. Another cutscene. That's what the whole game is, and I love the cutscenes, but the combat got very stale for me. But there was cool things that I liked about it too, because it had sub-personas, which you couldn't really change out and capture personas, but you did end up getting gears, which you could forge to make sub-personas to make your party members more powerful with combat, which was cool. I liked it, but I could do without it. You could also fuse more weapons, but But there was a skill tree, and I was very hyped for the skill tree because I love the skill tree in this game. I love skill trees in any game. Like if you give me a skill tree, I max it out no matter what. It's just one of the things that my OCD brain does. It's just like, wah! I don't even have OCD, but I'm just like, I see an empty slot, I'm like, I gotta level up for that. And that was probably my favorite part about the combat. But the combat is okay, it just gets stale. But the stylization doesn't. It still has all the nice flares of Persona stylization. You know, Lynn does come back for the soundtrack, which was so good. Truth or Dare. Other songs, I don't remember them off the top of my head, but they were peak. And I did like the chibi art style, although it did feel a little bit wonky, and sometimes, like, especially with, like, Makoto doing, like, the hair flip, her arm just looks so weird. I don't like it. And there were a few memes on the Persona 5 subreddit that I sometimes linger on about, like, Om's neck being crazy, which, I don't want to imagine that. And it was good. I loved this game. It was filled with fun vibes. But wait, there's more! They also had a DLC for Persona 5 Tactica called the Repaint Your Heart DLC, where you could be Akechi and Kasumi in there, and I was hyped for that because I like the two characters, so let's just talk about it real quick. I want to say that this DLC takes place right after you're introduced to Akechi and he is welcomed to the Phantom Thieves in Persona 5 Royal, because Akechi is still in his crow attire and not dead for this DLC, and Kasumi doesn't know that she is Sumire in this. So I want to say that this takes place after October 29th, but before November 19th in the Persona 5 timeline, just so you can wrap your head straight. Okay, cool, let's just jump into the plot now. It starts off with Kasumi sending Joker a text to meet up to show you something. And meanwhile, newscasters talking about this graffiti artist named Guernica that is taking Japan by storm, but it's probably not that important. You then meet up with Kasumi, who shows you this really good depiction of Arsene, which shocks you obviously because you would have to be in the metaverse to know that Arsene even exists at all. Akechi then approaches the scene to convey that he's been doing an investigation about all the graffiti that's been going around the town. They then get a closer look at the painting when a voice cries out for the Phantom Thief's help. This startles Jokers, but the others didn't hear the voice. And suddenly, paint starts to glow and suck the trio suddenly into the void, and they're transported into this world where there seems to be paint splatters everywhere. Very strange. They try to make sense of the situation when a mouse-like creature starts to approach them. It collapses in Kasumi's arms, pleading for them to save them, and it just explodes into a bunch of paint. Pretty scarring stuff. They then hear tons of screams from a distance, causing Kasumi to rush in to help while the others fall behind. And when they arrive, they find tons of mouse creatures running around and being shot, exploding into paint by this mysterious girl with a bird on her shoulder. Guernica and Jerry. They approach the two, pleading for a way out of the world and for Guernica to stop hurting these poor creatures. And Guernica agrees, causing her to fight you instead. And in the fight, they get into a losing position with Guernica, calling upon more and more forces to stop you, but it can't be helped. There's no way for them to escape. But then, a Deus Ex Machina appears through the form of a hole on the ground, making them safe from Guernica's clutches. They stop falling and arrive in a sewer system where they are approached by another mouse girl named Luca, who recognizes the Phantom Thieves and wants their help. So she takes them to this other painting that is almost identical to the one that they saw in the real world. It has this energy that would consume you if you let it, as Kasumi put it. And the mouse girl explains that this painting was done by Guernica, and paintings like this would cause someone to eventually die because of bad cognition vibes, and it's dangerous because it could spread into the real world itself. However, Guernica was not like this. This was because someone stole her will when her first artistic statement was stolen, and it broke up into parts, and this made her corrupt to the point where she started to use this power for evil. Luca also tells the Phantom Thieves that Guernica was the one that brought them here because it was her last cry for help before she went berserk. Hearing this, the Phantom Thieves decide that they just can't leave her in the dust in her most dire hour, and they decide to help out Luca in her cause to help Guernica become whole again. And they make it to the first piece of Guernica's artistic statement, but Jerry the bird swoops in to try to stop the Phantom Thieves, offering to send them home if they just give up Luca and stop trying to help Guernica return to their original self. But that's not how the Phantom Thieves roll. Oh, no. And they don't accept the offer, so Jerry summons her goons to take them out. While the enemy looked intimidating, it was a breeze to go through, and they were able to get the first piece before they were able to get surrounded again. They then regrouped and was getting ready to go to the second piece. Meanwhile, Guernica and Jerry are in the most prestigious of castles where they are reflecting on Guernica's blood loss, how her rage is empowering her masterpieces. Jerry then brings up how the outsiders are still going around town and how this could be great inspiration for Guernica. And Guernica 100% agrees with this and heads out to kick some ass. This makes Jerry pleased because her plan is starting to come into fruition. We then head back to the Phantom Thieves, who are on their way to find the second piece of their artwork, and they meet up with Guernica again. So they fight her again, and they put up a heck of a fight, but it doesn't take her down all the way. This causes Luca to go into stage 2, negotiation. She tells her that the Phantom Thieves came to help her, but she isn't faced by this, so they move on to stage 3, just fucking running. Guernica tries to chase them down, but she loses them, and they make it to the second piece in one piece. They take down all the enemies in their way in front of the second piece of Guernica's artistic statement, but at this point, Guernica caught up. But she had one glimpse of the art, and she starts to have a mental breakdown. And when this is happening, this is tearing Luca up inside when she comes to reveal this key fact.
Guernica, hang on!
This doesn't faze Guernica, causing her to bitch slap Luca, but she's in so much pain from this art that she retreats. And while her back is turned, the Phantom Thieves and Luca escape with the second piece. Once Guernica got back to her elite castle, she goes to Jerry for comfort, trying to ask what is happening with her and what she has forgotten, but Jerry doesn't care about that at all. She just wants to have Guernica burn the world down with her art. And Jerry starts to do something to Guernica against her will, but assuring that she won't worry about anything anymore. Then some purple smog that we don't know what it is just starts engulfing Guernica, and Guernica pleads for Jerry to stop, but Jerry won't have it until every single one of her paintings eradicates the rebellion everyone in the world has. Huh? That sounds familiar. Back to the Phantom Thieves are like, oh, what's the deal with you and Guernica? Then Luca explains everything. Lucas says that she's more like a memory of Guernica's sister because the real Luca died a long time ago. They were homeless sisters that only had each other. They had to survive off the streets, living off of whatever they could scrounge up. Then one day, they discovered a very inspiring mural in the streets that they decided to make one of their own, becoming the first statement. This is what kept Guernica going, which is why she went berserk once it was broken. With that new information in mind, the Phantom Thieves decide that they're willing to help Luca claim the last piece, and they were on their way. On the way, the team starts to smell death, and they start to approach piles of costumes in very brightly pastel colors that look exactly like Luca's. The Phantom Thieves and Luca realize that this is killing Guernica herself because this is probably part of her mind, and they try to reason with her, but this was a fruitless effort because she was not listening, thus resulting in a fight. Boy, this is getting very tiring. Guernica can't understand why the Phantom Thieves can't just die and why she has been holding back. She then starts to remember Luca with her mind becoming more and more scrambled than before. Jerry then summons more enemies to attack the Phantom Thieves so that she could take Guernica home to help her recover. But we all know how this goes. They take down enemies, they find the third piece, and they bring it back to the base. They reunite the piece, and it is a beautiful work of art showing sisterly love. Luca then touches it, and it begins to reside in her so that she can give it back to Guernica. They then head directly for their base so they can have Guernica return to her true self. Meanwhile, Guernica is berating Jerry about why is she feeling this way? Why would she do that to her? And Jerry is just disappointed in Guernica, how she still has some kind of heart, revealing that she was just using Guernica for her own gain. I know. This is what a twist. This destroys Guernica mentally more and more. And once the Phantom Thieves have arrived, Guernica was fully under Jerry's control, and she was dead set on killing them at this point. No sense of humanity was left in her, and this leads to a fight between both sides. But the Phantom Thieves can't do any damage to Guernica at all because nothing seems to be working on her, and they lead to phase 2. Negotiation. Luca then starts to talk to Guernica about why is she doing this? Like, stop. And Guernica's like, this is because the streets took the one thing that I really cared about. And then Luca explains that she found more than hate on the streets. They found love and kindness and hope for the future in the streets. Guernica then starts to calm down and recognize Luca as her sister again. And Luca finally gives her first artistic statement back to her, setting Guernica free from Jerry's grasp. Luca then gives Guernica the reassurance that she doesn't need to worry about Luca, because her kindness will be with her always, and that she needs to keep making art to inspire people. Then she fades away into the abyss, to no fanfare. I didn't really care, I didn't even get to know the character, so... Jerry's caught off by this. I mean, how is Guernica able to break free? But she does not give up on her plan. She still plans on continuing to use Guernica to eradicate humanity. The Phantom Thieves and Guernica are very disgusted by this and decide to take a stand against Jerry. And they go fight against Jerry. Very easily, mind you. Then she just fades away like nothing ever happened. That's kind of it for her. We see one final clip talking to someone who's supposedly Samael, I think, but she was just a goon that was bad at her job. Nevertheless, Guernica thank the Phantom Thieves for rescuing her. They say their goodbyes and Guernica sends them back home. The three then wake up back in the alley that started their own adventure, confused to why they were even there. They forgot the whole thing, which means this meant nothing. This makes no sense. Oh my gosh, this is literally what I was talking about earlier. This DLC has no right to exist. This doesn't make sense. This is the exact same problem I had with Persona 5 dancing. It's the main reason. Oh my gosh, and Guernica can remember, so why can't the Phantom Thieves? Ugh, it's generally irritating. And the plot is so boring. I like the interactions in Tactica itself, but these ones were just a slog to get through. Like, nothing about this story was good. It was just meh. It was just a thing that you use to be able to play as Akechi and Kasumi, which I believe that could just be a really good, simple character pack that you could just purchase and just have Akechi and Kasumi in the game without having to explain why they're there. I mean, they do that with DLC personas for Izanagi, which I don't think Joker would be able to normally summon Izanagi because that's Yu Narukami's persona, but it's stupid, and I hate it. In my opinion, it was a big waste of time and money because the game costs $60 base, while the DLC is $20, and I paid to play the base game for 50 hours, but I played this one for 5. Like that doesn't correlate. I mean, I still got it on sale, but still, that it should be proportional to what is there, and it hurts. Also, the pain was dumb. Whenever you're playing the battles, I didn't like that. It was not cool. Didn't like. It needed a lot more time to cook. It needed to be put in the oven like a Papa Murphy's pizza at 450 degrees Fahrenheit, just cooked to perfection, instead of just a Tostino's party pack that you just ate frozen. Also, Toshiro has a tiny scene at the end, and I think that's very cool, man. Overall, I had fun with this game. Base game, pretty good. DLC made me sad, but I had a smile throughout the whole game. It was good vibes, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, that's today's video. I hope you enjoyed this very long video. It was very long for me to record. I've been recording for 2 hours now. My throat is killing me. And also, huge shout out to GC Inferno for making good gameplay footage with no commentary. He does that a lot, or she, I don't know their gender. I just watched this gameplay, but it was very good. All their footage was provided by them, and they're pretty sick. If you want to check out my last video, you can click right here where Kyle is to watch my video about Persona 5 the anime, or you can click my face right now, which is my YouTube profile picture, to subscribe to the YouTube channel to be notified whenever I upload next. And yeah, hope you guys are having a good day. I'm gonna stop speaking now before my voice gives out. Toodaloo, I love you guys.